Let me know if you can hear me well. I want to make sure this thing is working right. Give me a second, folks. What's up, Zeno? Can you hear me? Do I sound like I'm coming through my mic here? Or is it... Okay, good. Alright. Just give me 1 second. Where is the stupid... Oh, there it is. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? G5. Streaming, little girl. What you want? Oh, sorry. Using it. Alright, that looks good. Alright, I'll explain what's going on in a second. And why I think this is probably the first time I had a headset on a live stream, so I'll explain that in a second too. Alright, let's go back. Alright. Make sure you hit the like button. Will Half-Life Alyx lead Switch 2 to have VR? Ooh, good question. Let's see. One more second. I gotta... Why is that doing that? Stop doing that. Okay. What am I doing? What am I doing? What's up, Trizzy Nah? What's up? Alright, what was I doing? I hope you don't fall. Please don't fall. Alright, please stay. Please stay. Look like you gotta stay, but just in case, stay. Alright. Oh yeah, this is what I was doing. Alright. Tweeting it out.
Crusty.
Yeah. Show. Alright. Okay, where is... It looks fine. The camera. Alright, so... What's happening is... My beautiful, amazing, awesome PC took a doo-doo and is not working. So it's funny how close to my angle this actually looks, my former angle. This is my cell phone that I'm streaming from right now. So how you guys doing? I tried to use my iPad, which would have been a little better, but it started updating and it was taking forever. So that's why I kept pushing the whatchamacallit back, the time, because my iPad would not stop updating. And of course, the minute I need to do something, that's when it starts doing its thing. So Um, yeah, but everything seems to be working fine. So let's go ahead and get into it. First, I mean, I guess we can talk about Stadia first. Um, I was a defender, not of Stadia itself, but of the idea of Stadia, like the streaming, only because, and it's not like it's something I am looking forward to. I tell you a million times that I don't care about game streaming or any of that. That does not do it for me. But I can understand. I can see people, certain people, where it would work for. So that's why I was. That's all I was saying. Is I was thinking this is going to be this is going to be the future at some point. I didn't mean immediate future, but it's going to be the future at some point. And not until XCloud, gave its feature set and what it's going to be doing that I realized how bad Stadia was or is. It's pretty bad. Uh, the pricing structure, all that stuff. I think, if I'm not mistaken, XCloud is in beta right now, so you can only do it on mobile devices. It's not on computer or anything yet, but it already is better. Uh, and then yeah, Amazon stepping in. Thanks for reminding me, Zeno. Amazon stepping in soon, and it's just gonna be pretty much over for Stadia. It kind of reminds me of, oddly enough, Sega Saturn. How you know it wanted to be first. We knew the PlayStation was coming. We suspected the Saturn would be coming after it, but they did like a surprise release in the summer, and it was a debacle. It was a total debacle. It was not ready to be released. Developers were upset. Retailers were upset. This is not exactly similar to that, but it just reminded me of that. And I don't think it's going to do well. And knowing Google, they'll just move on. They'll just move on and do something else. But yeah, it seems to be quite the debacle, and it's unfortunate. But oh, there goes my remote. That's fine. Uh, you know, but I still think the idea of streaming, all that stuff is gonna still become the future. It's gonna still be the thing, and that's inevitable. It's kind of like the future war in Terminator. No matter what happens, there's gonna be a future war with robots, uh, and it's gonna be a disaster, like Terminator: Dark Fate, which was not a bad movie. It's just they just it again, like Sega, they almost got it right. They didn't get it quite as right as the Dreamcast, not even close. But leading up to it was so disastrous and so confusing and so much nonsense. They kept trying with Terminator. They tried with what was the first Terminator 3, and then they did Terminator, which wasn't it did actually box office. It did pretty well. And they did what was the future one, Terminator Salvation, and that tried to show you the future war. And then you did Terminator Genesis. Genesis. It's so stupid how they spell it. And that tried to retcon basically all the Terminator movies up until that point. And then you have Terminator Dark Fate, which tried to retcon again. Unfortunately, it was a pretty decent movie, but there was so much of a debacle leading up to it. People just kind of turned off, kind of like they did with Sega. They just kind of tuned out, even though the Dreamcast was great. A lot of people just said, "Nah, I'm not taking my chances on them anymore. They don't know what they're doing." So that's kind of my analogy. What was that? Uh, yeah, Harui. I liked it too. I thought it was actually pretty good. Had it actually been Terminator 3, we didn't have all these other situations, I think a lot more people would like it. There's still a traumatic thing that happens. I'm not going to give that away, but it's a very solid action movie. There's some cringy stuff, as far as a couple of cringy things. There was only two things I had, you know, issue with, but overall I thought it was good. But unfortunately, because like I said, leading up to it, which is a debacle with all the other movies. That's what you had. So yeah, like I was saying earlier, I have my headset on. This is plugged into my iPhone, which iPhones don't have a headphone jack. You have to use like the converter and then go into that. So that's why I was worried if this was going to work or not, because I didn't know if the converter would take my mic input or not. But it seems to be working, so that's good. So I have this going in, and my iPhone is basically taped up in front of me at an angle. It's taped pretty well. It's not moving. So hopefully it doesn't fall. But yeah, that's where we are. Visor Grunt. Terminator movies have gotten dumb. If I were Skynet, I'd send robots to actually control the government problem solve. Yeah, pretty much. I don't want to start talking about Terminator Dark Fate. But like I said, I thought it was a good movie, but mired in the decisions before it. So, let's see if I can hit Trizzy Nas says hit subscribe, jingle that notification bell, and tickle his yeah. Watching me and Blade. Oh yeah, Blade is very watchable. Um, I can pop that thing in any day and have a great time. And I'm also very conscious of my battery life. So because I can't, again, stupid iPhone, I can't plug in the power source and use the headset at the same time, or use you know headphones or whatever at the same time. So that's the thing that sucks. So this won't be a super long stream. But yeah, so my PC died. I think it's the power supply. I have to replace it. I just haven't gotten around to that yet because it's not a super priority to me. And I knew I could always just use this to stream, you know, live talks. So it was not a big thing. But yeah, XCloud, Amazon. It's going to be some pretty stiff competition for Stadia, which isn't really a whole lot of competition right now. They don't seem to be knowing what they're doing. Um, Power Rangers fell off for 8 years. It took Hasbro to save Power Rangers. All you can do is start bottom and to the top. Are you talking about the movie? I actually liked the movie. It seemed to be somewhat, not polarizing isn't the right word, but some people were just kind of meh, as far as the movie went. They didn't hate it. They just think it was a big deal. I thought it was pretty good. I don't know if you're talking about something else. Oh, the TV series. Yeah. Okay. Visor Grunt. Man, I thought Google getting the console wars was dangerous for the others, but man, what an epic fail. Yeah, I was confident that they could pull it off because they're a huge company. But obviously, that doesn't always mean you're gonna get things right. A lot of huge a lot of huge companies do stupid things, and I mean, just look at what's happening with YouTube right now. I feel like Google, YouTube, they've been failing for the last 2.5, 3 years with their policies and just what they're doing. They just don't. I mean, that's a whole nother live stream. I'm sure I can get into that at some point. But it is what it is. A lot of guys are contemplating leaving. Maybe we'll talk about that later. I don't know. I'll throw it in. We have enough time. But yeah, what do you guys think about Stadia? A friend of mine asked me recently, sent me a text. What is this Stadia thing? He's not in the loop as far as gaming stuff. He might be watching right now actually, but he's not in the loop as far as all that goes. And I haven't gotten back to him, so I feel terrible even bringing this up because I haven't texted him back about it. So if you're watching, Stadia is a live streaming service from YouTube, Google. It's not worth your time, but basically you can play video games without having crazy hardware or having to go out and buy hardware. Supposedly, I've heard things about the Chromecast overheating. What's up, Jay? What's up? I've heard all kinds of stuff. So how could you fail this bad? I mean, Chromecast has been out on the market a while, and apparently it's had issues before. People have known it to have overheating issues, even just using Netflix. So that's kind of insane to me. Stadia sounds like an artificial sweetener, and the logo kind of looks like something you'd see on a little artificial sweetener pack as well. But it ain't sweet. It's artificial. So let's see. Fly from the Inside says fighter number 5 at GT's revealed at the Game Awards. Better not be a lame character like Fortnite or Minecraft. Oh, yeah. You guys, if you've seen my last video, you know I don't care about the Game Awards. I'm not watching, and we're about to get into that. So that's a nice segue. But if you have any questions on Stadia, if you have any comments on Stadia, go ahead and drop those in. Let me see if I missed anything of note from you guys here. Just want to say what's up to everybody. Thanks for joining on this disjointed setup here. But I don't know, it's working out pretty fine, I think. My camera's a little bit more ashy. I think that's just because the actual, I'm not even going to touch it, but I feel like there might be some, because it's a cell phone, it might be a little bit of gunk on the camera part. But I'm not going to, this is fine. I'm not going to mess with it. Let's see. Still playing Pokemon Shield, says Harui. What is this thing doing? Go away. Getting notifications from my iPad. That failed me. Yeah, I don't think I missed anything too pertinent here. Just gonna make sure, by the way. Stadia dongles are overheating. Oh yeah, I talked about that. And can eat up to 20 gigs an hour. I missed that, Trizzy. 20 gigs an hour on your plan, your data plan. That's insane. And a lot of people, oh, I have unlimited data, whatever. Yeah, once you hit about a terabyte on most plans, even especially those ones that say unlimited, they're gonna start. What they do is they don't, take it away. What they do is, I'm getting notifications I can't see on this little tiny screen up there. What they do is they'll slow down your speeds to compensate for you using all that extra data. Laker Link, what's up, my man? Do Mr. T voice. I don't do a Mr. T voice. I do a Mizzah Tee voice, which is a parody. If that's what you're asking for. Hey there, fools. It's Mizzah Tee here, and I'm back again with another live stream. If that's what you're looking for, Raheem, there you go. And I would actually do more of those types of videos and stuff if Google wasn't tripping so bad. But maybe I'll talk about that as well. Thank you. He says, you're welcome, my man. Thanks for joining. Let's see. Haruri, if Google was serious, they would buy Square Enix. I don't want them to. I mean, I don't know. I don't want Google to buy Square Enix. That's not what I want to happen. Square Enix is fine on their own, and I'd rather them stay independent. Wonder if Stadia will fail harder than Google Plus or Google Glass, says Fly from the Inside. It's possible. Those have failed, and like I said, Google have moved on. They don't care. Harui, Google need to buy exclusives. Yeah, they supposedly, there are studios, they have exclusives that are working on things, and that will make it more interesting, at least for me. But until that happens, I really don't care. But if there's games out there that are great that I can only play that way, I'll pop in for a month, 2 months, or whatever, play those games and move on, type of deal. So that's the only reason I even care about it, because the exclusive stuff. But just being able to play games I can get right now on any console or PC that I have, I don't care about that stuff. It's more the exclusive stuff that gets me going. Amazon will buy studios if they want to beat xCloud. Yeah, that's basically what I was talking about there. Harui. Gandalf's Grundle exclusives, good exclusives, would honestly be the only thing that sells me on Stadia or any service like it. Totally agree. Um, they have to come with exclusives because there are better services out there right now that do what they do, and better services likely coming soon. So, you know, that's what it is. So, why did Gamer Nate sell his Switch? Oh god. Oh boy, RXL, you leave that man alone. It's been years. Leave it alone. Let's see. Gandalf's Grundle. That's I read that. That's why I buy any console or whatever. Yeah, that's the same thing for me. Exclusives matter most to me. Honestly, I'm already in the Nintendo ecosystem, but it's because of their games, their exclusives that I can't get anywhere else, and how I feel about those games. So, anti-competitive is Amazon. I don't know what you mean there. He has a Nate video. Man, you you need to stop. Stop it. Stop. Trizzy. So, what do you think of Need for Speed having exclusive modes for Stadia? I think it's Need for Speed. Hey, I don't like that kind of stuff. Don't do exclusive modes. I I actually don't mind as much if you do exclusive games, but to sell me a game and then say, "Oh, that game you already bought, there's exclusive stuff on a different platform that if you want to access it, you have to." That's nonsense. If I'm just getting the game exclusively somewhere else, I'm not as upset about that. But if uh, if it's pieces of it somewhere else and I have to buy the whole game all over again or rent it or whatever all over again and play through it all over again to access this stuff, I don't like that, and I don't think that's going to work out for them. And I think they'll get rid of that model fairly quickly. I say within a year. Um, yeah, exclusive library, that's different, but exclusive features per game, stop. You know, I think maybe it's a little different when you do stuff like, oh, you're adding Nintendo characters in a game. Um, if you don't care about Nintendo, why would you even care about those characters being in a game that you may have bought? So to me, that's a little different. Uh, but like exclusive content, that should be accessible to everybody, I think is nonsense. So Nintendo is vulnerable to losing exclusives. Huh? How so? Um, Amazon are a monopoly. To some extent, but so is Disney, isn't it? In many ways. Trizzy, maybe it was Drive Club, I don't know, but some racing game has a Stadia exclusive game mode, which is nonsense. I don't like that at all. Uh, but this is the world we live in. I made a video centuries ago talking about these kinds of practices and how it was not going to get better. It was only going to get worse if we continue to support them. And here we are. Here we are. I'm not the only. I'm not like Nostradamus or something. I'm not the only person that would say stuff like that. But here we are. Grid Autosport. That sounds. Oh, is it Grid? Well, that really sucks because I like Grid, and I'm not gonna go to Stadia to play Grid because there's certain games I'm just not gonna stream until it gets almost perfect, and that is fighting games, racing games, sports games, because you don't want that. You don't want lag on games like that. It's very important. You can get by with RPGs and even some action adventure games, stuff like that, but not that. Um, all right, I wanted to get more detailed on my game awards. Um, the thing about how do I say doing kind of off the cuff videos is that uh, you you have ideas. I mean, you have topics, and when you start talking, you forget some of the topics you want to go over and discuss. Um, and that's what I'm kind of trying to do here. and I'm sure I'm still gonna miss some stuff. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention this, but I forgot. But obviously, like I said, the Game Awards, uh, it's just infested with cronyism around the board, and it's not just I'm not just talking about Keeley and Kojima their relationship, which I feel like Keeley might have pushed that relationship. I don't know how close they were or whatever before him crying on his show about how Konami was treating Kojima. I think he got Kojima's attention by doing that, and they became really closer after that. But I don't know. That's just my speculation. But um, you know, Kojima and Keeley, they're both assholes, so it's no surprise that they would probably get along. Uh, and as far as I talked about this before, but as far as Kojima goes, I feel like he's arrogant. I've read stories, many people talking about this. He's kind of a arrogant, pompous dude, and his quote about American gamers and stuff feeds into that. And some people were like, "Oh, you're acting just because your butt hurt about." I don't care what Kojima feels about American gamers, but I do care about the facts and truth, and it's just inherently false. Um, that maybe they get a lot more press, the shooters do, but as far as scoring goes, they don't get higher scoring. Um, they usually float. Even the good first person shooters. They're in the mid to low 80s. They don't get special scoring or anything like that for the most part. So it's just inherently false. And if you look at the sales and the types of games that gamers buy, and here we buy everything. We buy a lot of stuff. We play a lot of stuff. And as far as the highest rating games, those aren't shooters. They're mostly action adventure RPGs that get the highest ratings. Um, you know, we have Dragon Age Inquisition won GOTY, I think, once. Breath of the Wild won. These are wildly different games, and it's just a false thing that's thrown out there that American gamers and I guess the press, the reviewers only you know they care so much about first person shooters that a truth would be that Japan doesn't care at all about first person shooters. So maybe in his mindset, just because they don't care about first person shooters at all, he's trying to put on this moniker that that's all we care about, or that's what we hold most high, and that's just inherently false BS. A game that should be in Game of the Year contention over his game, when his game should not be there, is Fire Emblem Three Houses, which was highly rated, and it only ended up getting a nomination for strategy game, which is laughable because it's more of an RPG than it is a strategy game. There's obviously strategy in. I mean, Fire Emblem is a strategy RPG. It's a kind of a hybrid, but that game should be winning or nominated for a multitude of different awards. And I mean, this is what I'm talking about here. And you have a game like Jump Force. I forgot I left Jump Force out of my video. This is one I wanted to touch on. Jump Force is in the fives, both in critical reviews and user reviews. So there's no discrepancy when there usually is when it comes to critical reviewers and just user reviewers. Reviewers across the board think that game is trash, and usually to me, like I said, I don't take review scores and Metacritics and all that stuff. Metacritic is actually more valid because they take the totality of scores. They give an average. They add them up. Unlike something like Rotten Tomatoes, we and Juice were talking about this. Unlike Rotten Tomatoes, where they just say, "Oh, this reviewer said it was good," so that's a fresh score. It's just flatly fresh. They don't add up a score. They don't add up a number. So yeah, Jump Force is trash. Basically, the gamers have said it. Reviewers have said it. And to have a game like that, unanimously trash, to be in contention for best fighting game, I mean, something stinks. It just stinks, and you don't have to be a hater to see that. It's just something's up with a nomination like that. Something's up with a nomination like Control. Now, Control is not apparently unmitigated trash. It has higher reviews. I think I've seen like mid sevens to low eights. So it seems to be a decent game, and it completely bombed, and that shouldn't be factored in. I talked about how just because a game bombs doesn't mean it's not good. Beyond Good and Evil is a great game, and it bombed. So that happens. That happens in movies. That happens in music. That happens in video games. So that's not the issue. But the issue is it's mostly a meh. Nobody was talking about this game. It's usually a Game of the Year contender gets talked about. Resident Evil 2. A lot of people have a problem with Resident Evil 2 because it's a remake, but it's a remake, but it's kind of new. I mean, it's not really, it's not like they just took the graphics and made them better. Obviously the camera angle is different, the scenarios are different. It's set in the same world, the same, all that stuff, but it's a very different game. It's not like a remake as far as, let's say, Shadow of the Colossus. Like, that's a remake that I wouldn't accept being Game of the Year, or in Game of the Year contention. Say if it came out this year, and because that game had its due. It's still the same game. It's just visually ground up, built on newer hardware. So that's different than Resident Evil 2. It's weird they didn't give it a subtitle, just call it Resident Evil 2, like the first one didn't exist. I always thought that was weird. When games do that and movies do that, it's weird. It should have some kind of subtitle or something. But because it kind of erases. So now when you say Resident Evil 2, you think about this one and not the original one, Resident Evil 2, which is the classic. So, yeah, it's just, there's stuff like that, Obviously, Fire Emblem should have at least 5 nominations for soundtrack, for narrative, for Game of the Year. It should be in Game of the Year contention. I haven't played it, but people say, "Oh, you can't talk about that." You know the consensus. If there's a consensus around something, I watch the Oscars, and every movie that gets nominated, I haven't seen, but I understand there's a consensus. There's a artistic thought around a game or around a movie that people come to a consensus around, and I have a feel for that. And Fire Emblem games have all been great. I'm pretty sure this one is as well. I'm gonna get it sometime, probably before Christmas. And but I know from what I hear and what I understand Fire Emblem to be that it should be in all these different categories, and it's not. And it just feels like, okay, this is the award. You're not gonna get Game of the Year, but we'll give you this award. And you have the Nintendo Award, which is Best Family Game, and stuff like that. And it's just like, because Smash is it not? It is nominated for Game of the Year, or is it? I can't remember. But it's not going to win Game of the Year because it's in. It can win something else. It can win Best Family Game. I would be surprised if it does win Game of the Year if it is in a nomination. See, that's how much I haven't been paying attention because it's cronyism around it. And I'm not just talking about, again, not just Kojima, but you can't have people who have a direct benefit to these games or doing well or all that succeeding be on the board of the nominations. That just doesn't. That's icky. That doesn't sit well for me. That doesn't work. Let me get into some of you guys' comments because you guys have been commenting pretty good here. Hipsters, it's just Kojima points. Smash Brothers Ultimate, and I mean soundtrack. Smash, come on, I have played Smash, a lot of it. That soundtrack is phenomenal, and it represents gaming to the fullest. It has all these iconic characters and worlds in it, and that soundtrack in that game is insane, and it's not up for best soundtrack. Like, come on. Monster Hunter World won RPG of the Year over Dragon Quest 11. Oh, it didn't win yet. You're saying it got nominated? What's up, Navon? Um, yeah. Why is that happening? Why is again DLC getting nominated for Game of the Year? It's not called DLC of the Year, but it's a Game of the Year award. Why isn't Fire Emblem in that category of Best RPG when you have DLC? Where is Devil May Cry 5? Again, another game I haven't played yet. But from the consensus, from all intensive purposes, people love that game. It's a return of form. People everywhere. I saw reviews and just people talking about it in general. Where is Devil May Cry 5? I know it has at least one nomination, I think. Maybe art direction or something. But why isn't that in Game of the Year when you have garbage? Well, not garbage, but when you have stuff like polarizing games like Death Stranding, and then you have kind of meh games like Control. To me, that stinks. And you start really going through and seeing who's nominated or who's on the committee and how they're linked to some of these games. And we all know that Game Awards show is a big ass commercial. Like it's a way to get more eyes on your game, and just being nominated, even if you don't win, just being nominated will help people pay attention to your game. It definitely will help your sales. So when you have industry people that are over this stuff and they're making decisions based on nominations, oh well, they don't vote. So what? That's not the issue. Just because they don't vote doesn't mean they're not directly benefiting. It's just a conflict, a super damn conflict of interest here. And to ignore that is just to ignore it, because it is a fact. It is something that is there. And just because you ignore it doesn't ignoring it actually makes your opinion on the matter invalid to me. Just because you want the game that you want, and it's mostly Death Stranding. It's mostly people defending Death Stranding being there. And some of these people haven't even played the damn game either. So it's just like, what are you even talking about? It's just because you're a Kojima file that you think this is a good thing. And this is a game award. So if your gameplay isn't just great, isn't mind-blowing, world-changing, it doesn't have to be that. It just has to be really good at everything it does. I think it doesn't have to be, game-changing game or gameplay, but it just has to be really good at everything it does, or it wants or sets out to do. And from what I hear, Devil May Cry is that, and Jump Force is not. So, let me see what you guys are speaking on in here. Jump Force is trash unanimously, says Harui. Yeah, Donkey does lay on the cheese to make his videos funnier sometimes, but I watched his Death Stranding review, and yeah, he makes fun, but he was, you can tell when he's serious about certain things. For the most part, he has that sarcasm, that satire, but and the easy thing to do, because nobody will really attack you for saying you like the game. So that's the easy thing to do, is say you love this game, especially since it's a Kojima game, because nobody really will attack you for that. But people will get on you for saying the game is trash or is not good or is boring. People will get on you for that, and people who haven't even played the game will get on you for that, even if you have. And it's just okay. Control is fair over Death Stranding. Yeah, I agree with that, because I even said this in my video about this, is that Control is, a typical third person action game. The gameplay is solid. All these things are solid. There's no anybody saying, "Oh, this is boring and this is terrible about it." None of that stuff. So to me, it's more mainstream. It's a more mainstream game, and it makes sense. Not that you have to be mainstream to be Game of the Year awards. Sometimes not being mainstream is what makes you a Game of the Year contender. But you have to be all around good. You have to be good at everything, every aspect, not just the story, not just the visuals. The gameplay is a huge part of a game, and if you're not good at that, which is most gamers be spending most of their time doing, is going through gameplay when they're playing your game. If you're not good at that, if you're not universally solid at that, then I don't see how you get in there. Unless you're friends with the guy who holds the show and you're on the committee for nominations. I mean, it's just abhorrent. It stinks to high heaven how disgusting this situation is. Um, has anyone heard Astro Chain's music? It's banging. Yeah, I love Astro Chain's music. Um, and the combat being bound to Legion. I love the combat in the game. It's pretty damn innovative, so it could have been in best direction too. Game direction too. Yeah, I agree. I think you know. Um, I don't love everything about the game, but I don't. There's nothing that I hate, and that specifically, what you're talking about, is very good. The gameplay in it is very good. So, if again, trash like Jump Force, that's the thing. Jump Force and even Control to a degree changes the game when it comes to Game of the Year awards. And it's not the first game. Again, I've said before, there's always these weird inconsistencies. This game out of nowhere that makes no sense being nominated. It happens every year, and but this Jump Force is so bad that it's just like, well, fuck, anything could be Game of the Year at this point, uh, or get a Game of the Year nomination. Anything, and that's how I've always felt. Anything that greases Keeley's tracks or wheels or whatever, however the saying is. I always screw up those sayings, but even anything that does that can be in contention for Game of the Year for something. So, and I'll never get over how they ignored Xenoblade Chronicles. They ignored Xenoblade Chronicles twice, if I'm not mistaken. X was ignored for the most part, if I'm not mistaken. Let me know on that. And then Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was is ignored. And again, that's a game that should be in many categories, but not. It the Game Awards acts like it doesn't even exist. And even Star Wars. Star Wars. I mean, is the cutoff point getting earlier? It seems like it hasn't been this early. Star Wars came out. There's plenty of time left to mull over that game. People have reviewed that game. They've had it for weeks before it came out. And why isn't that in contention? It looks like a fantastic game. I hate EA, as you guys know, but I'm not hating on a game if it's good. That's just not what I do. So, best esports coach. I don't even want to get into how embarrassing that whole line of nominations of esports goes. And Terminator Juice pointed it out that it's basically, as far as the game nominations go, it's based on popularity, people viewing the esport, and that's just super lame. But it's typical of the Game Awards. It's a popularity contest, or it is a cronyism contest. If you grease the skids with Jeff Keighley enough, he'll get you in there. And I mean, I know how tough it is to put on a show, how tough it can be to put on a show that's once a year that you need a lot of funding for. I get that, but there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. So it is what it is. It's despicable, and I will not be partaking. I'm not hating on anybody. I'm not telling anybody what to do. You guys can watch. It's fine. There is some entertainment value to be had, but for me, no, I'm not doing it. So what? What are you doing? You need this one? All right. It's been acting funny, so it's on you. All right. Yeah, my son's borrowing a Joy-Con. I'm letting him know that it was acting up today. I have to take my Joy-Cons back in, or at least fix them myself, which is probably what I'll do. But all right, so let's see what you got here. Star Wars would beat Death Stranding. Can't have that happening. Yeah, I mean, because the nominations for Star Wars and the nominations for a game like Death Stranding would all be in this pretty much same categories. And from what I see, Star Wars looks phenomenal, and it definitely would destroy gameplay wise. So I think there is some truth to that, Visor Grunt. I think they on purpose kept Star Wars out of the nominations because of the type of game it is and how it would go up against, legitimately, if they were being legitimate and truthful and honest about it, it would go up against Death Stranding in basically every category, and they can't have that. So I think you might be right about that. No, I mean Luigi's Mansion, is in, and it's a late, you know, it's basically a November game. It came out the last day, came out of October, and if that can be in, yeah, I think Star Wars can be in as well. So because at that time, most reviewers had their review copies for Star Wars. Mostly, I think. So, and this is an industry based setup. A lot of people are in the industry. A lot of people in the nominations committees and all that stuff. They're all industry people, magazines and new and uh, uh, websites and all that stuff, gaming websites. So they would have had the review copies and all that stuff. So it stinks. Twist ending. Smash wins Goldie, and they reveal Jeff Keighley is the fifth fighter in Smash. God, God, that would be awful. Fallen Order is really good. Yeah, I've heard that. I am Everyday Gamer. I've heard that everywhere. It looks to be pretty good. I like how it's kind of meshing, fusing a lot of different gameplay styles. I've heard, Souls. I've heard some Uncharted and all that was pretty obvious from the beginning. But I've heard even like Shadows of the Colossus being a thing with the how he climbed the walkers and was slowly taking them down, which is very cool. Yeah, I can't wait to play that game, but I'm gonna have to wait to play it because I will not buy it brand new. EA won't get a new dollar from me, so I will wait to buy that. But yeah, it looks to be fantastic actually. Uh, Sakurai deserves Game of the Year more than Kojima does. Yeah, I mean we all know that. I mean, but me saying that would be considered bias because tend to think I tend to favor Sakurai in his games. Um, it's funny. He's kind of like Kojima in a way where he's basically known for one series, and Kojima's trying to get out of that now with Death Stranding. But it looks and sounds like Metal Gear. I'm talking. I'm not talking about everything about it. I mean just how it feels. It has a Metal Gear kind of character design to it. It has the same type of visuals, although they're enhanced and stuff like that. And then the story stuff feels very Metal Gear to me. So there's that. But you know, it's Smash. Smash is the most relevant, most likely the most popular fighting game for the last 15 years or so. So people like Metal Gear, they consider them to be good to great games, but nobody's talking about them in the way they talk about Smash in its category. So, and unlike Kojima, Sakurai is a humble dude. He is a very Japanese dude. Somebody, I forgot who I was talking to when we made the joke. I think it was, what's his name? Is it Mario? I can't remember his name. We were talking about how Sakurai reminds me of the Japanese businessman in that movie. Every time I want to think about the movie, I can't think of the name. It's Wesley Snipes and Sean Connery, Rising Sun. Um, the Japanese businessmen in Rising Sun were accused of basically uh, abandoning their principles because they've been around like American businessmen too much and they were too Americanized. They're not humble, you know. They're not appreciative. They're more kind of aggressive and assholes, like the American businessmen were. And that's what basically Kojima's been accused of being. Maybe he's just been hanging around because he loves American cinema. It's pretty obvious. He loves American directors, and he hobnobs in Hollywood and all that stuff. Maybe he's been too Americanized. Not to say that Japanese people can't be assholes, but they can. But from my experience, and from most cultural experience, that's not how they act. Again, my wife is quarter Japanese. Her grandmother was, rest her soul, she was uh, full Japanese. She came over during the war, and she's the greatest woman I've ever known. She's just the sweetest. She just would deal with the most terrible things with such strength and conviction and just humble. And I that's just how most Japanese people are. And I think Kojima has lost a bit of that hanging out with us American dudes. um, let's see. That's terrible too because EA put a single player game without microtransactions at one goatee. Yeah, I mean that's another comparison. EA finally got it right, right? Again, kind of like Sega finally got it right. Who was I talking about earlier? They got it right, but nobody seems to care. Well, at least the uh, the Game Awards doesn't care um, uh, enough to you know bestow upon them their prestige. But if you don't believe that Game Awards is a sham, if you didn't believe it up until now, see it now. Please see it. It's a scam. It's a sham. It's sham wow. It's not what a lot of people think it is, and it's never really been. It likens itself to want to be a serious or a serious award show, like an Oscars or a Golden Globes, even, or something like that, the Emmys or something. But it's not. It's not. It's not the Oscars or Golden Globes of gaming. Um, we probably will never get that, unfortunately, because there's too much proximity. There's too much closeness. There's too much cronyism. There's too much conflict of interests when it comes to putting on a show like this. Because when you're asking, the people who are basically involved or personally involved with these games to be oversight, that's just not going to work out at all. The only time I can think of, anyway, that oversight, where the people or the industry took oversight over itself and it worked out well, was the ESRB. The ESRB is an example of oversight by related committee that actually worked out. Mainly because the gaming industry was super scared that the government was going to ban them and they'd be out of business. So they got their act together. But that's oversight by the people who directly benefit from the medium. But it's righteous for the most part. It may go a little too far in some places, but for the most part, it works out. ESRB does what it's supposed to do. But this situation is not the ESRB. It's not going to work out that way. Let's see. Funny if he's too Americanized but complains about American gamers. Yeah, I mean that is kind of odd for Laker Link, for him to be, but it's snobbish. It's a snobbish reaction. I'm sure he didn't think it through, but you know, could you imagine Miyamoto saying something like that? Could you imagine Sakurai saying something like that? Uh, You know, could you imagine Phil Spencer saying something like that? Phil Spencer has every right in the world to say Japanese gamers, you know, don't like American gaming consoles. He has every right in the world to say that, but he'll never say that because that's stupid and assholish, and that's why you just don't do it. You don't do it. You take your lumps. Not everybody's gonna love your farts. Not every not everybody's your mom and gonna love every little stupid drawing you do. Uh, so deal with it. You know, deal with it without blaming somebody else. Blaming somebody else for your failures, for your uh, faults. That's just a bad look, man. Like, learn how to be humble or relearn, because I'm sure there was a time, and I think I'm glad I brought that up because I think that was a big part of what the headbutting between Kojima and Konami was. I wanted to bring that up in the video when I talked about it. There's another thing I forgot was that I'm sure he thought he was the shit. You can't limit my budget. Those Metal Gear budgets were astronomical, and he would take years to make these games. And I understand an artist wanting to do that. Like, if there's nobody coming in saying, "Hey, this is the cutoff point. You got to be finished with this thing," an artist will keep working on that project. Unless he's like starting to get hungry and has to feed himself, and says to himself, "I got to stop so I can eat and keep the lights on." Artists will keep working on what they do. So I respect that, but you also have to respect the business side of it, and you can't spend all the company's money on a long shot, not a long shot, but on something that doesn't pay off for 3 or 4 years. They have every right in the world to rein you in. And I'm sure he was an asshole in that situation. He wasn't humble. He wasn't, what Jeff Keighley tried to make him out to be. I'm sure he was like, fuck you guys. I'll make what I want. I'll take as long as I want. My games are, they sell. You guys can just shut up and deal with it. And I'm sure Konami was like, screw you. We own all the IPs that you work on. We run this shit, and they were going in a different direction, and he didn't want to go in that direction. So I'm sure that's what happened with a lot of that. Not that they were perfect, because they weren't. I mean, it was pretty bad what they did, but there may be he may have just like really pissed them off. We don't know. So a lot of people are outside attacking Konami, which Konami should be attacked for its games more than how they handle Kojima, but a lot of people were outside attacking them, but we don't know how Kojima was talking to them, and I'm sure they didn't just want to get rid of him. I'm sure they just tried to rein him in, and I'm too big to be reined in. I'm too big to fail, basically. So, you know, yeah, if Miyamoto had said something like that, the whole industry would be attacking him. I guarantee you, Sakurai said something like that. Maybe Sakurai might get away with it because people are super crazy about Smash. But if Yu Suzuki, somebody brought up Shenmue, which Shenmue seems to be a return, a nice follow up to 2, which I'm so happy about. I was worried about after some of those trailers, but it looks like it's actually good. If Yu Suzuki had come out and said, and after Shenmue comes out and people just dumped on it, and he had said, well, these gamers today, or American gamers, or whoever, however he would spin it, people wouldn't tolerate that, but they tolerate this nonsense with Kojima because I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out. I've asked people to explain to me what exactly it is that's so great in Kojima's games. I'm not saying his games aren't good to great, but I'm saying what is it that puts people in a fever pitch about the dude? Because I don't find his games to be all that, and I'm just trying to really figure it out. I mean, I really like Snake Eater, and I understand the impact of Metal Gear Solid '98, but it's not. It ain't that serious, Chief. Like, I don't know, but let's see what you're saying here. No other fighting games than Smash has been such a celebration of so many other video games, from characters to music to stages to the items. Biggest crossover in history. Trizzy and I, you are too correct. Very correct on that. Um, Across literally all genres. Yep, yep. What happened to all the people that were so hyped for Shenmue 3? I know, like Shenmue 3 fervor was up there too, because I would critique. I have a video or two critiquing, the trailer, that famous trailer where people were their mouths weren't moving, they looked really stiff and terrible, and people jumped on my head about it. There was a lot of fervor around it, but if the game is good, which I assume it is from what I'm hearing, where are all these people that were going crazy? Like where are all those people that were going nuts about any critique of the game? I hope you're buying it, because I'm gonna buy it. Are you? But yeah, I mean that's just how gamers are. So you look at Nintendo do with the Sunshine. They took the lumps of gamers being critical of it and came back with Galaxy and blew everyone away. Correct. Like you guys know, I'm not the biggest fan of Sunshine. A lot of people love it, which I'm fine with. I'm fine if you love it. I feel like there are factual things that are wrong with it that didn't help me to love it. But those issues were pretty much wiped away when Galaxy came out. When they had the time to make the game they wanted, and it was on a console that sold well. So they weren't rushed to put out a game hoping that game would sell their consoles. By the time Galaxy came out, Wii was already a super success. So they weren't pressured to having Galaxy be a launch title, because they had Wii Sports and they were confident in what it could bring. So, and obviously they had Zelda Twilight Princess as well. So that helps. Sunshine is my favorite Mario game. I can roll with that. I wish I don't wish it was my favorite, but I wish I liked it, on the level that you like it, Zeno. But it's, it has too many glaring issues for me that I find to be glaring issues. It's just off. The control is just off. I'm not gonna get into it, but you guys have heard me 1,000 times talk about Sunshine. There are a lot of things I like about it. It's gorgeous to look at. It is a true platformer, one of the true 3D platformers, because a lot of things get called platformers that aren't, just because they have cartoon visuals and a mascot looking character. That doesn't make you a platformer. Uh, it's one of the truest 3D platformers out there. It's probably closer to Super Mario 64 than even Odyssey is. Um, but there's some parts of Odyssey that have some really true. I don't know if I want to say that, because Odyssey's kind of bigger, and if it was more compact, maybe it would feel the same. So, but yeah, even Miyamoto gets attacked more than Kojima, and he's untouchable. Dennis, yeah, I mean, I feel like it. I said that in the video. I was like, um, people love Miyamoto's, his impact and his contribution to the industry, and he's an icon, obviously. But there is also some contentiousness, yeah, around Miyamoto as well. Oh, he caused this to not happen. He steps in and messes with games. And one thing that he did that with that I didn't even like was what was it? Dinosaur Planet. He took Rare's Dinosaur Planet and told them to turn it into a Star Fox game, and I wish he hadn't done that. I think he probably felt like they had to do that for the game to sell. Because at the end of the day, I didn't think Dinosaur Planet or Star Fox Adventures was that great of a game. Um, it's a lesser Ocarina of Time clone. It doesn't have the chops as far as the puzzle solving and all that, and the combat even. that Ocarina of Time has, and it's clearly a game that's influenced by, the Zelda games. So I wish it would have just kind of stood on its own, and it might have even gotten more accolades if it wasn't a Star Fox game, because there's expectations when you put Star Fox on the game. People expect Star Fox, and when you only have Fox running around with a bow staff, it's kind of strange, um, Oscar's my ass. Keeley's Awards is a scam. Cannibal Game says, yeah, it's a scam, man. Not even close. And people have their issues with Oscar. I'm not saying Oscars is infallible either, but I will, I will at least, as far as nominations go, I will defend the Oscars way before I would defend a Game Awards nominations, and smaller stuff like the Golden Joysticks Award, I think it's called the Golden Joysticks or something like that. Their awards, it's still a smaller thing. I don't even think it's not a televised thing or anything like that. I think it's just like industry people, nominate and they vote on the best. I think something like that is more credible than something like the Game Awards where it needs all this funding and it's this big, elaborate show that again they need all these deals to pull off, and I don't trust it, and I don't think anybody should. Don't get upset when your game doesn't win or any of that stuff, because it's a scam. It's a scam. Um, so I got one more thing to talk about, then I'm gonna get out of here. I want to play some Rocket League with Juice. I hope he still wants to play. Let me see if he answered me or not. Oh, he said if I'm still awake, then come on, Grandpa Juice. It's Friday night. You can stay up past 10, 30, 11. Come on now. We all work. I get it, but sleep in, my man. Sleep in. It's Friday. Um, Star Fox Adventure in Crystal led to a bunch of people at my school becoming furries. Yeah, I've heard that, especially Crystal and stuff. I don't understand that whole situation, so I'm not really gonna talk on it. But yeah, the furry thing when it comes to Star Fox, I wonder how much that actually plays into its popularity. I mean, not like Star Fox is super popular, but I wonder how much just them just being furry little animals. What is it? Not anamorphic. What it is? What do they call you when you're you're similar to a human body shape? I know it starts with an A. Can't think of it. But oh, you're playing right now. Okay, Juice. All right, I'm gonna get off soon. But yeah, uh, it could play into people's like of certain games having furry little creatures in it. But anyway, next gen indifference. Right now, at this point, I'm indifferent to the next gen consoles. Obviously, we don't know a whole lot about them, but maybe, I mean, this probably happens every generation. But I feel like this generation for sure, um, I'm pretty content to not buy into any consoles at least for 3 years. I don't, unless Nintendo drops a new console or another variation of Switch. I don't think I'll be buying new. Actually, I'm gonna get an Xbox One X. People are like, why would you buy an X when in a year? I don't care. I don't care about Scarlet, and I don't care about PS5 either. Unless they pop up with some game that looks fantastic and I just have to have it. Um, I'm not looking to buy new hardware anytime soon. Visuals are so good right now on even the mid generation upgrades like PS4 Pro and Xbox One X that and that along with my PC. I'm just like, I'll just upgrade my PC for those kind of titles. I don't like buying digital only games, but it feels for some reason it feels a little bit better when I do it on PC. I don't know. It's strange. I guess it's just a mindset. But anthropomorphic. Yeah, I wanted to say that, but I wasn't sure if that was right. Thank you, Zeno. Anthropomorphic. Yeah, so animals that are anthropomorphic. people tend to be furries based on that. Everybody has their thing, you know. I'm not gonna. If you're not hurting anybody, if you're not doing anything illegal, I don't give a damn. Like, yeah, everybody has their weird quirks. Do I have one? I don't think I have any. Um, no, not really. I mean, I guess I like puppeting toys and puppets, if that makes me weird. But, you know, I grew up loving Jim Henson and Muppets, and, you know, I actually had a cousin of mine a while back, maybe a few months ago, say to me, "I knew you would end up doing something like that," talking about my YouTube channel and playing with dolls, or you know, puppeting action figures and doing stupid, silly voices, because that's something I did, you know, back then, and I just kind of don't remember. I guess I just forgot about it. And he was like, "Yeah, I used to do that kind of stuff, and you cracked me up." And you know, there's, you know, I guess I still have like that childlike mentality. But to me, that's an asset, especially as a teacher. Like, I can relate to my students a lot better. They love the fact that I'm a gamer as well, and I can talk to them. I can really talk to them. The problem a lot of times with adults and children is that adults talk at kids and not to them. And kids don't feel like they really care what you have to say or what they have to. They don't really feel like adults care what they have to say, and that frustrates them. But I genuinely care. I'm genuinely in your, if you're, you know, students. I'm genuinely in their wheelhouse. I get where they're coming from. I understand them on their level, and a lot of people don't. And to me, so that's an asset to me. And so I remember when I first started, especially, and even still now, I have teachers coming to me all the time. "Oh my God, the kids love you. They love you. What are you doing? You giving them candy and cookies all the time? What? Well, these kids are crazy about you. They're always, when you're not here, they're like, where is he?" And, you know, I'm not trying to pull my own horn here, but or blow. Again, I'm messing up the. It's blow your own horn, pull my own leg. I'm not trying to do any of that, but it's just that I can relate because of my, you know, if you want to call it childlike nature. But people will take that and try to make that a negative to me. "Oh, you a man baby or whatever. You play with, you play little kids games and all that kind of stuff." That doesn't bother me because it's like, well, I'm just more worldly than you are, and I can relate to more people than you can, and I can do that. But I can also be very sophisticated and run my little business and be a father of two and be a husband and be really good at all those things and my career. And I can also be this kind of goofy man child, but man child in a good way, not a bad way, not the bad man child, but being able to like relate to children, being able to relate to my students. And to me, that's an asset. So that is what it is. But yeah, next gen, not really crazy about it. But that's probably something that happens all the time. Um, I was ready to move on from Wii to Wii U. 360 PS3 not so much because they started hitting their strides late, I thought. So that was a thing. But I don't know. I just feel like the games, you know, the promise of next generation has rarely paid off as far as, oh, the power and what kind of worlds we can make. You know, the big talk right now is, oh, it's got an SSD in it. Wow. I've had an SSD in my computer for quite some time. You know, it's great for, you know, applications and stuff like that. Obviously, games are applications, but it's not like, oh, I gotta go out and buy a new console. I'm wowed by that. It's not a new type of way to play. It's just, you know, it's an evolution of what we already have, and a small one at that. Okay, games will load faster. I mean, that's a good thing. That's one thing I hated about CDs over cartridges. But, you know, I'm so used to loading, and, you know, it's not gonna blow my mind. And if it does, it's only gonna last a week. You know, it's not something that's gonna, oh man, I'm talking about it all the time. How fast this game loads. Visually, you know, Yeah, the games will get better, but games look really good to me right now. I'm very content with graphics as they are right now. So, you know, I I'm pretty indifferent for the most part. So, all right, let's see what you guys are saying, and I'm gonna get on and get out of here before my phone dies because I don't know how much juice I have left. But let's see what you guys are talking and get out of here. My next big electronic purchase is gonna be Galaxy tablet or iPad of some sort for art. Gonna wait till the revisions of PS5 and Xbox Scarlet to come out before getting them. Yep. Yeah, I'm looking more into. I need to upgrade my laptop, my iMac or my iMac, my MacBook Pro, pretty soon. I need to upgrade uh, televisions in the house because it's getting to the point where 4K is getting pretty cheap, getting cheap enough to where I'm like, all right, I'll go out and get something now, and won't feel bad about it in a year because the price is like $500 cheaper or something. So that's more and where I'm gonna be spending money on hardware, upgrading my computers and making my editing process and all that stuff better. Not just for obviously YouTube, not for YouTube at all, really, because I can still use what I use now for that, but for work, video editing, because 4K it takes up more space, and you need more processing power to do it efficiently anyway. So yeah, thanks for that, Zeno. Trizzy, I found easier suck with the vacuum. Oh, you're talking about something. Visored Grunt, Star Fox Crystal did that. That girl cat from Cadillac Cats made me think twice. The one with the 80s leg warmers. Oh, yeah. I completely forgot about that, but now I remember. Oh, there's my battery uh, showing 20%. So perfect timing. I can get out of here. I gotta look that up now. Yeah. Oh, I'm thinking of Heathcliff, Riff Raff, and all that. That's what I'm thinking about. The cat from Heathcliff. Uh, let's see. Where are we? Oh yeah, yeah. So that's what you're talking about, Visor Grunt. Okay. Do these people understand that adults make these kids products? Right. I mean, uh, that's what I was saying. Like when people try to make fun of me for puppeting or whatever, I'm like, well, you do realize that every kid show that we grew up in, even if there's ones out now that use puppets, those are all adults crawling around on the floor, with their hand up a puppet's back, So why is it weird for me to do it when adults have been doing that since the beginning? It's not kids walking around with making puppet noises, and those are adults. Uh, Team America, those are adults. All that stuff. Mr. Rogers to Muppet, the Muppets and all that stuff. Those are adults. Why is it so weird for me to do it on YouTube? Yeah, it's just a way for people to attack you for something, and they think they're getting you. But that's why it never bothered me because I just kind of laughed at it. I was like, that's a silly. That means you have nothing on me. Basically, if that's your attack, I win. So Juice, I think the exciting part about next gen consoles has yet to be shown and revealed. I agree, because I'm not moved by anything at this point, and I'm not anticipating something that's going to blow me away either. So my phone's 10%. Yeah, mine probably is right now. I could go with stronger Switch. I don't need it to do 4K just so I can run more games. Right. I don't need that at all. Who said that? Jay? Yeah, I don't need that. Her name was Cleo. Yeah, Cleo from Heathcliff. Uh, Heathcliff. What was the name of the show? Because it was split up. Heathcliff was the cat that was the main part, but then there was a little segment with Riff Raff. I don't know the name of that segment. Yeah, Riff Raff's girlfriend. Well, I don't know what we're talking about this, but yeah, VR is cool. Yeah, but VR. If I was getting into VR, it's gonna be on my PC. It's not gonna be on a console. I was thinking about maybe getting like a used what is it, PSVR. Maybe I'll do that. I don't want to spend a lot of money and be bored and not care for it. So maybe I'll do that. It has to be probably around 150 for me to touch it, just for an experimental cost. But there's some things that I've heard that are really cool on PSVR. So I was thinking about getting it and maybe getting upwards of maybe 10 games to play around with. But what is it? Half-Life Alex looks awesome. It looks like a real game that just happens to be set in VR. And so that's what I've been waiting for as far as VR goes. So we'll see how this game turns out. And if I get into VR, it's most likely going to really be on PC anyway. So Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats. Is that what it's called? I didn't remember that. Damn, I'm showing my age. Well, I think we all are talking about Heathcliff and shit. I don't have a powerful laptop. I also need a headset. Yeah, I mean my laptop is getting long in the tooth, as they say. It's starting to show its age on certain applications and certain things I try to do on it. So streaming is almost impossible on my laptop, and that's more of a video card thing. But you can't really upgrade, a laptop. So I'm gonna have to get a new one, which is fine. I still watch episode or two every few years. Yeah, that's one thing I like about YouTube is you can jump on and get your little nostalgia dose and jump out, and that way you don't have to go out and buy like the seasons of try to find that stuff on DVD or something. That's what I like about YouTube. That's one of the things I like about YouTube. All this other nonsense that they're doing. I'm not gonna get into it now because my battery's about to die, like I said. But all that other nonsense, I'll talk about that maybe next time because a lot of people are upset and worried and all this stuff, and it's just like this is just another notch in the I don't want to do this anymore belt. When I'm trying to be motivated, stuff like this keeps happening with YouTube that demotivates me. And it seems like streaming gets more views anyway. So it's like why, other than for me, which I still will do for me, it's hard to like do elaborate edited videos. Especially when when you have 5,000 subscribers and you get 240 views on something you spend hours on. It's disheartening, but I still enjoy it because it's my craft and it's keeping me up to date on certain things that I don't always get to mess around in. But I can do that on my own without helping YouTube out, especially if they're not helping me out in any way. So, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it, guys. All the old Mega Man cartoon episodes are here legally. Yeah, I like that kind of stuff. Visor Grunt. It cost me a lot of money to update my laptop for modding with Source 2 engine. Yeah, laptops are expensive, man. Especially if you have one like me, which is a MacBook. Those things are not cheap. But I love Macs, so that's I gotta put put the money up. So yeah, thanks Zeno, thanks Harui. That'll pretty much do it for us here. I think I'm gonna have to do it from my phone and not. I don't think I can stop it here. So thank you guys for joining me. Thanks for all the comments and keeping the chat going. I appreciate that. If you haven't already, before you get out of here, it looks like most of you guys hit like, so that's awesome. Make sure you do that before you get out of here, if you don't mind. And I'll see you guys. I have another Dad to the Max video. I'll probably put that up on Sunday. And then we'll get back into more stuff on probably Tuesday or Wednesday. Probably Tuesday I'll have another video. I have a video coming about my setup here in how I hook up all these systems at once, and it's super convenient to do that. And I like having all these options, so that's cool. But yeah, guys, later. Thank you, Jay. Thanks, Visor Grunt. Thank all you guys for joining. I'm so happy that this worked out using my cell phone to stream, to live stream. That's pretty cool. So thank you guys for watching and listening. And I'm gonna awkwardly try to fumble my way of shutting this off. Peace.